What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of My Ego Up Fantasy. Today we are looking at the Roobet Cup 2022. Um, Pretty much just four groups of four teams each going into a single elimination playoffs. A very standard tournament structure, you could say. Um, the only problem is that we don't have like surefire information about which way the playoffs are seeded. Um, so you could, for example, pick the winners of two groups. Let's say FaZe and Cloud9 win their groups, and they would meet in the semifinals if they are seeded onto the same side of the bracket. Usually, from what I remember, it should be like Group A and B winners on one side, C and D winners on one side, or Group A and C and B and D. The thing is that it just kind of changes from tournament to tournament. I was looking at EPL here, which has six different teams per group, but the way this was seeded was that winners of Group A and C were on the same side of the bracket. So what I could do because of that is like go, for example, Group A, Group D, and Group B, Group C. I'm sure there have been events that have been seeded that way as well, and it could be that this event is seeded that way as well. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. It's a bit of a gamble because I don't think there's any sure information about the seeding of this event. So we'll just have to kind of gamble on that and hope that they are not on the same side of the bracket. Let's go over some of the teams. We have FaZe, as I would still say the favorites of Group A. Although they have had some struggles now, losing very badly to Navi, losing in Dallas to Cloud9. So the last few events after their major win have not been as convincing. I still think they're a very solid team who maybe, hopefully, have gotten a bit of a wake-up slap by these past few events. Of course, they have like what it takes to win these big events and win events like this as well. One big thing to note before I go any further, it's online. This is played as an online event, so just keep that in mind. Maybe no LAN buff for some of the players who usually perform on LAN, and then some of the teams that are pretty strong on online might be better picks. Then we have OG, who were pretty damn good, honestly, in Blast. You can't really wish for much more for their first big event as a squad. Also, Big is in this group. Just a pretty solid team, I would say. Haven't been super impressive, but haven't been like really bad either. I think either of OG or Big could make it. I would probably still say that Big are favorites. And then Entropic is... we haven't seen much of Entropic in this tier of competition for a while now. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare against OG Big. Probably losing to FaZe at least. But they definitely have a squad that could qualify out of this group as well. Then Group B... a lot easier for me to say which two teams should make it. It should be Cloud9 and Astralis. Cloud9 won Dallas, didn't play at Blast, so the last event they played, they won. Of course, there was some home crowd advantage, if you want to put it that way. The American crowd was cheering for Cloud9 quite a lot. But also, they, of course, dominated in the online era, so maybe this is going to be their event to take down as well, just because of the online factor. Astralis have looked like, I think, okay. I don't know if we can expect much higher from them, to be honest, with this lineup. There might be some changes coming with Zipnex leaving, but then again, Zipnex has actually been pretty decent in the last few events, so we'll have to see how that pans out. Either way, Astralis should still be strong enough to be better than Movistar, who are in a real bad slump. I always thought they were pretty solid and always capable of an upset, but recently they just haven't done really anything. And then there's Complexity, who just haven't done anything for the longest amount of time, and I'm very surprised there haven't been changes to the lineup already. Like, I guess the problem is they don't know who they should bring in if they want to replace someone like Junior, for example. But like, they have to do something. This lineup is just not working out. Group C, pretty interesting as well. I mean, ENS definitely should be favorites to win the entire group. I'd be very, very surprised if they don't win this group, to be honest. Eternal Fire, Imperial, and Mouse Sports. Mouse Sports not very convincing. Got to the finals of the last event they played, but lost to a NIP with no Hampus and ZDR as their IGL. But still a decent event for them. Eternal Fire and Imperial, just, I would say, very mediocre teams. Either any of those last three teams could make it, in theory. I would say Mouse Sports are the favorites to make it out of the group, though. Then we have Group D, Furia, 9Z, Outsiders, Force. So Furia should be the favorites to make it. I think this new Outsiders lineup could work out quite well. Like they actually could win this group even, and definitely should be the favorites to advance. They brought in Norbert and Fame from K23 to fill the slots of Yakindar and Buster. It's gonna be interesting to see how good they do, but yeah, I think they're probably the favorites to make it out of the group alongside Furia. Then Force are a very decent team who showed great glimpses at the major, and it's going to be interesting to see. They could definitely qualify instead of Outsiders. And then 9Z is just probably not ready for this tier of opposition, unfortunately. Unfortunately for them. At least their logo is very nice. That's my thoughts on the teams, as I always like to do at the start of these Ego fantasy videos. So if you also, if you're coming from HLTV's fantasy and want to see that kind of preview, that's this is where I kind of do it on the Ego fantasy side of things. So okay, I'm trying to kind of eye just player prices. As I've kind of said, I think the new best way to play it with bench mechanics as they are, you probably should just have the cheapest player always as your permanent benched player and just have 0 points like that. Oh, yeah, I wanted to actually check how, if this is the case with like the winner of the last event, then yeah, Carrigan as your permanent benched player. I kind of agree with that. So just go FNX on the bench, and then after that it's mostly about which teams do you think are going to do well. Well, you're not going to go for DGT or Xantares. I think Blamaf, with his insane stats recently, could be a decent pick. Oh, this is the wrong event. I was already like, wait, what? 6 teams? Yeah. But I really like the idea of going Cloud9. I do think Cloud9 is such a big favorite in this group, and they're online. Shiro's only 183. I think Shiro has to be a buy. Then I'll go for, how expensive? Wait, where? Oh yeah, I missed Exile just. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'll wait around with that for a bit. Who I want to pick as a second from Cloud9. I mean, I just don't know which. I guess I would go for Furia as the other team, maybe, or ENS. Maybe ENS is actually the pick here. Cloud9 ENS. I kind of like that. Sphinx is not too expensive. How expensive is Diha? Pretty okay price. Just gonna throw some players in here and see what I get out of it. We have 149 left if we go for Exile. Inters for 137. Nafani 145. Nafani had a sick event. Could be a Nafani thing. And then Blame F 190. Always Fiku this expensive. Some of these player prices are always kind of questionable to me. There's the face players who are kind of cheap. There's so many good options to be honest here. And there's some weird prices like Nexa for 164, who I would never probably buy here. Like Bimas, so much cheaper. Blamaf would be so nice to have though. How expensive was Inters? Inters was 137, so like this is honestly a pretty damn good lineup, I would say. I get a lot of the good players from ends. Blamaf is kind of player who I think is always gonna put up stats right now, even though it's from the same group as Cloud9. I'm not sure if it even matters that much. Or you go non-Cloud9 and go for like FaZe Clan if you want to put some faith in them again. Or maybe you don't go Blamaf and you just kind of go for like one player from FaZe, like a Brokey, and then we have 157. 157 is enough for like, it's a bit too much even. Maybe you go for non-Diha. How expensive is like Hades? 159 for Hades. So now you can go for Hobbit, right? I think Hobbit was actually 170 exactly. Shiro, Hobbit, Sphinx, Hades, Brokey. Like you can do some insane things when you have a permanent benched player. Actually should check like the matches here. Oops, the wrong thing. So we don't have all player. Okay, so in this event it's not actually always the best thing to have a permanently benched player. Also, yeah, it's good to have like ends. So like, it would actually be kind of beneficial to have benched players who you can substitute. Like actually, it would be beneficial to actually substitute players, is what I want to say. Far League 153. So we could get Carrigan, of course, here. Not quite enough for Diha. It is enough for Diha if you go for someone else from FaZe, like Rain or Twists, probably Twists then. It's a lot of faith into ends after they kind of did worse than expected in their last event. Am I putting too much faith into them? Maybe I am. Then again, I do want to put some like a good amount of faith into Cloud9. Maybe I should have like Snappy, Hobbit, Brokey. Shiro, Hobbit. Brokey, Carrigan as like a switch. Spink, Snoppy. I think it makes sense. We should have an Ents player on the bench though, so we should sell by Carrigan, by Snoppy. So now we can, like, between days we can like substitute out we can sub out Snoppy for Carrigan, between Snoppy and Carrigan for the second day, and then based on which matches we have here, make substitutions and sell some players. But I think this is a pretty good lineup. We do have 2 cheaper players. We do have our most expensive player as Spinks. Is there someone else who's like a steal? Who do I see as a steal? Like, I think face players are just undercosted a bit, especially Rox and Brokey. Caserado may be a bit undercosted, but then again, he hasn't been putting up great stats. It's just that Yuri has been taking some of his frags, maybe. Put it that way. Yeah, some of the less expensive Ents guys are also a bit on the cheaper side, I would say. Like in comparison to what I would expect. I think generally also Safe is pretty... Safe is actually pretty great online, if I don't remember wrong. So you could have like Safe instead of Snoppy, for example, basically. Then maybe you don't go Spinks, maybe you just have like 2 cheaper players from, yeah, these 2 guys. Hades and Modern. We have only 1 face player and only 1 player from Furia, but I don't think it matters that much early on, especially because we can sell the players for example, if we think Ents and Cloud9 are going to the finals, we can then sell based on that. I think Hades Modern works out pretty well. And Safe is so much, like 5 more for Safe has to be worth it, like over Snoppy. Wait, Jamie's 156. Some of these prices are just weird. Like all of these Outsiders players are undercosted on like the original Outsiders players, I mean. Junior for 136 as the Opera is pretty funny, to be honest. Crimbo and Searson are also pretty undercosted, but I think they are in the toughest group. If I wanted to really gamble, I could go for like Jame, for example, and then just sell for when we go forward. So we could go for like, just because like we have so much money here, we could go. It's just a risk to go for Outsiders in general, because I mean they have a couple easy matchups on paper. I still want to go Ents, I feel. I have more faith in Ents than Outsiders right now. I just haven't seen anything from Outsiders to have faith in, really. I think I'm pretty happy with this lineup. Yeah, Ents on the second day, so this is the correct order. Cloud9 playing day 1, yes. As well as FaZe playing day 1. And then Furia and Ents playing day 2. Wait, what you could also do is buying players mostly for day 1, and then for day 2 you just sell some of the players who played day 1. That's actually an option, right? There's actually so much you can do in these ego up fantasies. It's an option to go for something like that, because right now we have like Mod and Safe who are not doing anything on day 1. So maybe it's better to have like Astralis players, for example, like a Blamaf for day 1 at least. Like Cloud9, FaZe, Astralis. And then just going for double sell after the first day and just going all in on 2 teams who you think are going to do well. I think that's actually the way to go here. So you go double Cloud9, then you go Astralis, and then we can actually have the cheapest player on our bench. Maybe. So we are, if you want to sell him. Actually, we probably don't, so just reserve that idea. Where's Hobbit? 170, right? Yeah. Blame Af, and then FaZe Clan was the last team I wanted to pick from. Roki Twists, for example. Okay, so we don't have quite the cash for this. We have to go for one of the cheaper guys from Cloud9, probably. 127. There's enough for one of these. Or we go Inters. 135. Then we can go for like Zipnex. I don't think we want to go for Zipnex. I'd rather go for like someone who's playing day 2, like a Safe, for example, would be really nice. Blame is just such free points. Maybe you have to go Carrigan then. And then you can go for at least Nafani. Can you even go? You can almost, no, wait, 157. Some awkward money here. You could go for, I think, wasn't how expensive Far 153 for Far League. So then we can go Far League and like Twists. So now we have day 1 players ready. We can like captain Blamaf, for example. And then after day 1, we can sell both Blamaf. Or maybe we don't sell Blamaf straight away, but maybe we sell like Far League at least. And then someone else. And then we substitute in Safe. Maybe like double Ns instead of Twists and Far League. That could be the way to go. And then have Blamaf still like racking up points for us. Okay, I'm happy with this. Sorry that I kind of got that realization of I can actually, because I've thought about doing it for a couple events of but it's just usually on day 1 the entire round is played. But for example here, as you can see, like half the round is played on day 1 and half the round on day 2. So, and because the lock phase only lasts for the day and not for the round, you can actually do this kind of maneuvering. So I think it's the way to go here. I'll captain Blamaf because I think it's like you could go captain Shiro or captain Blamaf. But I think Blamemuff has recently just been kind of insane. But yeah, okay, I don't want to stretch this video out any longer. Thank you guys for watching. I will be posting my HLTV fantasy video after this one, and if you enjoy this kind of content, remember to leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.